think we are live. This is Anon. None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. All right, let's go and find out where everybody is. Let's grab... Where's Discord? What's going on, guys? See, Keith. What's up? Amon. What's up, dude? What's up, Mitch? Can we start with the after hours, please? Sure. Let's go to the after hours. I mean, yeah. Isn't that fun, right? I really wish I grabbed that. I wasn't paying attention. I was eating dinner. I would have loved to grab some down there. What's going on, guys? Sorry, I know some of you guys have been asking where I've been. I actually had an event, and then I also had a family thing on Tuesday, and then yesterday I had a work event that was like a networking thing, so... Alright, so we got Tom in here, we got Hothead, Nifty, Tanner Bean, Jumanji. Has this just started? Yeah, this is live and it just started, so I have not really done anything yet. In fact, I haven't even posted to the Discord yet, so I probably should do that. Let me go grab Discord link real quick. Alright. Let's see, where are we? Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's just, normal fuckery. They're trying to scare the crap out of people. In after hours, if somebody didn't have a buy, if the bulls don't have a buy wall up, they'll just move it wherever they want. You saw quickly how things just got pushed right back up. But it's fun. I mean, they're basically, it's psychological warfare. They're letting you know, like, oh, we're going to hit the stock tomorrow. And, you already saw it went down to 205, or sorry, 405. And, it's scare tactics. And, they're going to try to push it down tomorrow. I mean, that's what they've been doing on the stock. It doesn't really, I don't know why people are surprised by this. Like, look at this, right? Got pushed right back up. Like, let's go to the 1 hour, right? I mean, you can see this thing's flying all over the place. Like, here's a huge buy order to push it back up. Here's a huge sell order that they just put, someone bought right back up. It just, they're messing around with the stock. They need retail to sell. Because retail owns most of this stock. Like, let me just show you this. I showed you this in the past, right? You saw this run up here, right? You saw the price increasing. That's the yellow line. You saw the green is the money flowing into the stock. You see the OBV, which is like retail buying. And then look, like it ran up even higher. But the entire time, the price has been going like lower and crappier. Like, we're up here now. Like, we were down here before. Money has flown into the stock and is not leaving. So. No. So let me just kind of go through some of your notes real quick. Excuse me. So, Alpha Chad, is it possible for Aterian to release news similar to BBIG? No, because they are actually releasing their earnings on the 9th. Which means that they are in a SEC lockup period. So they will not be announcing anything until after. They can't even release news at this point until after earnings. So I scooped up 500 shares at 408. That's awesome, Lexinator. Yeah. Thoughts on after hours? Yeah, I mean, they're pushing the stock around. That's all that's happening. I know, it's been forever, right, guys? Good Cinco de Mayo, and missed you for the 4th. Yep, I'm sorry. I was at a networking event for my work, and let me go grab some stuff for tonight. I'll grab. We're going to need a bunch of things here. Tag everybody. Okay. All right. So we got that on there. We should see some more people come in, I think. I guess I should probably also... streaming... I know you guys can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just tagging a bunch of stuff on Twitter also, because I don't normally do that, but I guess I'm supposed to be being more social media stuff, doing more stuff on there. So, all right, so let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a dip probably in the morning. They're going to try to scare the crap out of people. So I would imagine sometimes it pays to have a good till close order in the queue. Yeah. Let's see. Any thought on the large purchases last week or actually FTDs buying? All right, so which large purchases are you talking about? Because we can go down to like the 4 hour. So this is this week right here. So this is Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. I mean, I don't see a huge amount of large orders being bought. I mean, the week before that, I don't know, I can go the 1 hour maybe. But I don't really see a huge amount of orders. There's some buying pressure here on this day. Yeah, I mean, they're going to manipulate the stock. That's what they do. Like, that's how shorts operate. But, like, you can tell and you can look, like, money's flowed into this stock and it's not leaving. Like, I don't know what to tell you when people are like, well, everyone's not selling. Like, they've sold too many shares, and they're going to find different ways of resetting the FTDs and trying to make it look like it's not that bad. But, like, I think retail needs to understand something. Like, retail holds a lot of power here, because as long as you keep buying and this is not financial advice, but if you like the stock and you keep buying and holding it, and, at some point, if you're getting frustrated with the process, you can DRS your shares like I did. Like, I DRS'd my shares, and now I'm trading mainly options. Like, I have long options that I'm letting expire, and I'm gathering more shares, and then eventually I'll DRS them too. And, if the stock runs, then I have options that I can buy and, play. But that's just my personal, thing. Is like, I got frustrated because I thought they were messing around with the stock, and if you're getting fed up with it, you can always DRS your shares, and then it will take you a day or two to get them transferred back to a broker so you can sell them. But, like, I don't really want to sell at this level. I'm not looking to sell at $4 or $5 or even $7. I'm looking to sell much higher. So, people have talked about that, and they keep asking me questions about it. And I'm like, I DRS my shares. Like, the majority of my shares that I bought back last year, I DRS'd. Like, I do have a new set of shares that I haven't DRS'd yet, but the price is going like this. I'm not interested in selling here. So, but yeah. FTDs will continue to keep, stacking up. And at some point, they're going to push it down as much as they can. I mean, look at the hourly. Like, so we're on the 1 hour, right? Look at the RSI. We're at 25 right now. Like, it's going to snap back. Like, you can't do this forever. Like, even on the 4 hour, we're right there approaching like completely oversold. And on the daily, we ran a pot real quick, but like we're coming down now. We're going to be back in the mid part of the RSI, which could mean that we have another run because, it's cooling off. Like when we were up here, it's hard to run that much hotter. But, now that we're down here and cooling off, yeah, you can have a nice spike and a nice run. I mean, look at this. Like this all came all at once. This thing was continuous for a little bit, and then they, dropped it down, and then it will run up again because of FTDs eventually. So I'm not really worried. And all these people that are like, freaking out, because stop watching the stock if you're going to freak out. Like if you don't believe in what you're buying, then you shouldn't trade it. Like we were down at 210 a couple weeks ago. Like we were way down here. Like now we're up here. And people are upset. I'm like, listen, I know some people have waited a long time for this to happen, but it's not going to happen overnight. And like, yeah, we thought that they were going to lose in control here, and they just ate these FTDs and just pushed the stock down. That's what they did. Like you can tell. Like, is this the 14th? No, the 14th's right here, right? So this is the last day we got to see. But these 2 days right here is when they owed like 2.5 million, like almost, on these days. In FTDs. And what they did, they probably just, because they knew at this point right here, we're not going to get to see all the FTDs for this section right here. So they could just be choosing to eat these FTDs, or they could, there are people that probably sold and they were able to reset some of these FTDs. But like what's going to end up happening is the longer this goes on, the float's so small that, retail's not going anywhere. You can tell. Like, retail is still in this, and they're going to eventually get to a point where they get frustrated if they continue to drop the stock, and maybe retail starts DRSing their shares. I don't know what's going to happen, but like that's what GameStop did. They wanted to prove, and this float is smaller than GameStop's. So, if retail owns the float, which is what I think, likely has happened, if that happens and retail decides to DRS, then, if anyone that doesn't know what DRSing is, it's basically you put the stock in your name. If you're trading right now this stock and you bought the stock through a broker, what's happening is your broker, those shares are in the broker's name, which means that they can usually lend them out. Now, obviously, they say if they have a cash account, then they don't lend them out. But, there seems to be a lot of things that they have loopholes for, and I think a lot of people that bought, sold GameStop see very similar things. Like, once again, like let's go here real quick. This is GameStop. That look familiar when you see the OBV and the money flow go up and stay there forever while the whole thing chops down here for the price? Kind of look familiar, right? Here's Aterian. Oops, that's not Aterian. That's Aterian. Look familiar? Especially this section right here. You have OBV and money flow going up even higher, just staying there. Here's Amazon. See the things going up and then down, right? As the money's flowing out, and money's actually coming out. You see that? That's what a normal stock. You see money flowing into it, and it's going higher. That's what happens on a normal stock. Let's try Google. Is it Geo, right? See money flowing in slowly across here to the peaks, and now you'll start seeing it come down as the money flows out of it. Yeah, that's how these things are supposed to look. Like, look at this down here. It's low, and it gets higher as money flows into it. Here's Aterian again. Money's low, doesn't flow in. All of a sudden, retail came in last year, bought in the stock, and it stayed high, and then it's even gone higher in the last, couple weeks. Like, retail owns a float, in my opinion. Like, that's just what I think. And I think they're doing very much anything they can to make sure that retail sells. And that will be shaking the tree, and if that happens, then I'll buy the dips, and I'll average down, and, go from there. Any trading apps you like or recommend? I mean, obviously, I'm using Thinkorswim here. I use Webull just to kind of stream the level 2s, just because I think visually it looks nice. But I don't actually trade on it. And Interactive Broker is a pretty decent platform from what I've used. I don't use it that often right now, just because I've been using Thinkorswim for a long time. But I have looked at maybe making a change over there at some point. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I would stay away from ones that are straight up payment for order flow. There are a lot of things I don't like about my current brokerages, but I've got to do more research into what I'd really like to see is somebody come out with a product that literally is like for the people. Like, they're not going to gouge retail like most brokers do. I would love to see that, because I would switch to them in a second. And I think many other retail traders, if somebody made something that would go to lit exchanges, make sure that our orders hit, that would be obviously bucking the trend very much so. And I think they would be highly successful if they got to do that. But we'll see. All right, so Reddit seems panicking about ATER because it's only up 100% since April. Yeah, I mean, I'm not panicking. If you listen to me, people were like, "Well, you need to post something." I'm like, "Why?" Like, I put out all this information in a DD, and they're like, "Well, retail needs to be reassured." I'm like, "What? The information didn't change like from 2 days ago. It's still the same FTDs. It's still the same data. Like, the only thing that's different is the price." And honestly, if you watch the price, then yeah, it's going to scare the hell out of you. If you look at the actual numbers, though, that's what matters. Yeah, after hours. Yeah, so Hustle Up just asked me to bring up about after hours. So here's the after hours, right? So look at this. I can do this with $20,000. I could make this price action look like this. You know why? Because after hours has no volume, which means that your bid-ask spread is super wide. And what ends up happening is, if you've got a high-speed frequency, if you unload a bunch of shares really quickly and get through like the minimum buy walls that are in after hours, you can make the stock do whatever you want. 2 seconds later, though, it's going to go up because somebody's going to be like, yeah, well, it's not supposed to be down there. So another algo kicks on and says, okay, bring it back up to where you were supposed to be, which is like right here. People need to stop freaking out after hours or pre-market. Like, those things don't matter. Like, anyone can manipulate a stock pre or after hours, especially a low float stock like Aterian. Like, it's got low float, it's a small cap, it doesn't take much to move it up and down after hours or pre-market. So, yeah. FYI, some shills are saying that you and DZ sold in the Discord. Yeah, I didn't sell anything. Guys, all right, Tuesday I went to dinner with my wife because she wanted to take me out, and it was for a special occasion, which I don't need to go into details, but yeah, like, we had a special occasion on Tuesday. My wife took me out to dinner. I had good food, and when I came home, it was our special night, so we hung out. And on yesterday, I just had a networking event, which I didn't get home until 10:30, and I was like, I'm not streaming at 10:30, and I'd been drinking, so definitely didn't want to do that. I actually had been really drinking because it was a networking event. So yeah, I have not sold anything. So I don't know where anyone's coming up with that. And if they're in the Discord, I don't know why people aren't correcting that. All right. Yeah, I mean, clearly there's people freaking out. I just, to me, this is where retail typically does the absolute wrong things. Like, if you want to actually be a good trader, you need to look at facts and not watch the price. Because if you watch the price, you're going to get fooled. Like, let's just do this. Okay, I want to show you guys something. So yesterday, the SPY, right? Okay, SPY's chopping down here around like 415, right? Everyone's like, and let's go even a step further. Let's go to like the 30-minute chart because I wanted to show you. So you were at 450 here on the SPY, right? Bam, we're just bleeding. Each one of these steps down. We have one day that's step up, another one step even farther down. Boom, we hit this low of 405, and then we were just kind of chopping here, chopping here. Look at this. Max pain for this day was 418, which is right here. So we were sitting here right there on that, and that was max pain. What does the SPY do? They freaking jump up on the FOMC, data, which honestly they shouldn't have. Like, it wasn't anything that was spectacular. We know what they were doing? They were just burning all the bulls, or sorry, all the bears. They were like, okay, we know there's a ton of puts down here because everyone's bullish or bearish on this, so we're just going to run it up so all these puts are burned. And what did they do the next day? Right? Next day. They step it down a little bit, and then, oh, wait, this is today. What do? We bleed 4% out, right? Like, not 4%, 3.55%. But, like, this is one day later. They just gave back all that stuff that they pumped up, and then we're back here, same exact level we were before. Like, this is how the market works. And if all you're doing is watching the price, you would have been fooled multiple times. You would have been fooled here, thinking that the bearish news was going to drive the price even lower, and instead, everyone that had puts just got burned. And then they just pushed it right back down to where they were. Like, you need to stop watching price. Like, I know that's, like, hard to understand for a lot of people, but, like, okay, you're in Aterian, right? Aterian is a very low float, very highly manipulated stock, right? They can move the price where they want, especially on low volume. You know when they couldn't mess around was in these areas, right? Here, let's go back to, let's go to 1 hour. Let's look at this right here. There was volume here, right? We had this first kind of, actually, I need to go back a little further. Let's go to the 4 hour. And let's look at the run up, right? This right here is what trapped the shorts. They produced a massive amount of volume. This is smart money. This is not, this is smart money, and this is what they did. They trapped these shorts, and now all they have to do is every time it falls down into their buying range, they'll kick it back up, and they're trying to load because in the long run, like, yeah, we may bounce off some of these things. Like, I mean, we could see another attempt to break through, get underneath 450, maybe even try to break 4, because that's where people are stacking their options. Like, that's what they're going to try to do. Could it go lower? Yeah. I mean, could it go higher? Yeah. I mean, it's going to go higher, and before they go, like, typically before they go higher, they try to drop it lower because they're going to have to cover. And that's what you'll see. Like, if they know they're going to have to cover, they're going to try to push it. Like here, you can see right here. They know they're going to have to cover right here in these next coming days. So what do? They drive the price down. And then they start having to actually cover. What do? They drive the price down in pre-market. They know they're going to have to cover this day, so they boom. Then they push it down, and this was probably the remainder of them trying to cover. And then, this is what they're going to do. If they know they're going to have to buy, for example, like maybe a day or two down the road, they're going to try to shove it down as much as they can and freak out retail. Because retail owns most of the shares. Like, if you look at institutional holdings, there's only like 14 million, I think, total. So, yeah. So money flows in and stays, hold. Yeah, I mean, that's how it works. Earnings. Yeah, like... number one, like, everyone's spreading all these rumors. Like, what do you think is going to happen on earnings? I mean, I've been in the stock now for like a year now. What, like, it doesn't matter what happens on earnings, to be honest with you, because no matter this is a stock that they want at zero. They have a lot of shares that I think they've issued out over this time. And if you look at this, right? Each one of these is earnings. These little, like the phone call, right? So they had earnings here. They tanked the stock, right? Because this is when they had like all sorts of things going on. Things rally afterwards. Boom. We have another earnings, and this earnings actually beats predictions. And the stock rallies and goes up. Retail's back in, like, going nuts. And what do? They just slammed it back down. Like, this happens all the time with this stock. Like, it doesn't matter. They're going to probably attack the stock on earnings. Like, the question, though, is, does it matter? Like, if I can get more shares cheaper, then great. Like, I'm long this stock. Like, if you're looking to play it for 2 days and get out, then yeah, like, you're going to watch the price and you're going to freak out. Like, if you're actually sitting here and you're patient, like, this will be a stock that rewards you over time. Like, that's the honest truth. Like, the people who sat through all of this just bleeding, right? It hit a spring and moved up, and then we're not done yet. Like, it's going to move up more. There's going to be another round because they have FTDs still. You know how we know that? Because they're on reg show still. Like, and if retail can just hold their crap together, I mean, like, not financial advice. You do whatever you want. You want to sell, sell. You want to buy, buy. But, like, if retail can hold, control their emotions and not, like, if you're an emotional trader, you should probably just not watch the ticker. And, like, when the entire market's bleeding off, like, you guys think that this stock is, Aterian has gone down like 3 days in a row. Like, yeah, the entire S&P 500 is freaking bleeding. It's been, like, down, like, at one point we were down $45. On the S&P, like, you think about this, that's trillions of dollars, and that's bleeding off. Yeah, of course Aterian's going to get attacked and move down. Like, you don't think that there's just algos that just sell? They sell everything during these time frames. Doesn't matter what they have. You'll see, like, institutions probably trimming positions. Like, that's normal when an entire market sell-off. Like, if you've never been through a crash, they sell everything, even, like, good companies like Amazon and, like, Google, because they'll just buy back in lower. So, people are saying it had to do with the margin call. Oh, for the after hours? I mean, I don't think so. At this point, I don't think, unless they are actually getting margin called for another short that they're in, like, say, for example, it's a large company that has lots of, like, shorts, Aterian's not going to make them get margin called. It's too small of a market cap. Like, they could cover this, and it will suck, but they're not as in danger as they are for some other positions. In my guess is, like, that they've been probably shorting forever. Like, this stock hasn't even been around that long. Like, there's going to be other ones that need to get, What is my take on today? Yeah, I mean, retail is all, like, honestly, if your stock's not doing this every single day, retail's always nervous. Like, that's the honest truth. Like, unless you see, like, 60% gain in a day, retail thinks that, the stock's over. Like, that's not realistic. Like, if you watch any stock, you're going to watch it go up and down and up and down, and it goes in waves. And, like, honestly, retail needs to, if you're an emotional trader, you shouldn't watch every ticker, like, you shouldn't watch every tick of this stock, because it's going to make you nervous as hell. Like, if you're not planning on selling, don't watch it then. Like, that's my honest, like, opinion. Like, if set alerts, like, if you have a area that you're like, I can't, this is the lowest I can watch it go because I need this money in the immediate time frame, then yeah, set an alert for that, and set an alert for, like, 750, like, and then move on with your day and go back to your real life. Like, you can't sit there and watch this if you're an emotional trader, because that's how most people, when retail first starts trading, like, that's what they do. They think like watching this will somehow give them an advantage, and honestly, it usually makes them, sell or sell before they want to, or they get tricked by certain moves, and then they end up being like miserable when the stock runs after they sell. Have you guys ever noticed that? Like, okay, so like, let's go over an example, right? So I knew some people that held on to this stock from up here all the way down to 210, and then they sold. So they held all the way from up here at like 15 a share, and the guy wrote me and said, I can't do this any longer. I wish you guys luck. And he sold right down here at 210. If he had just held on a couple weeks longer, he would have been able to probably exit at least with far less of loss. And that's the problem, is retail tends to do everything kind of ass backwards. Like, you don't sell when the RSI, like, here's your RSI, right? He sold when the RSI was literally on the daily was touching like 20-something%. Like, that is the opposite of what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to sell when it's up here. You're not supposed to sell when you're down here. And the problem is, like, that's what retail does. Like, let's go the hourly. Where's retail selling? Probably here. Probably here. Like, that's not where you're supposed to sell. Like, if you're long the stock and you like the stock and you think it will go higher than where we are now, then you let it go and you just watch it. Like, like, I can't hold everyone's hand. Like, you either get it or you don't. Like, this stock has a lot of things going on with it, and it's being highly manipulated. And that shouldn't be a shock to anyone. Like, it really shouldn't. All right, what's up, guys? I'm scared. Comfort me. I'm not scared, just a little worried. Yeah, people have a right to be worried, but, like, here's the thing. Like, what are you doing? Like, if you don't believe in this, then you shouldn't have invested. Like, the way I look at it is this. I look at the data, and the data told me that we are right now on reg show. We have FTDs that are piling up on this stock, and all that anyone can do is look at the price and be like, "Oh my God! Like, look at this. This is so scary." I'm like, did any of the things that made you buy the stock in the first place change? No. In fact, they're worse. Like, the FTDs are way, way higher than I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be like 400,000 in the beginning. They had like 1% of the entire float. Like 2.5 million shares almost failed to deliver during these days right here. Like, that's crazy. 2.5 million. That's a lot for a small cap like stock that doesn't have a huge float. That's significant. And if you don't understand that, then, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. All right. Yeah, but nothing changed. Like, what changed from down here to right here? Nothing. Have the shorts closed their positions? No. Has the FTDs gone away? No. In fact, they're worse. Are we on reg show? Yeah, we're still on reg show. For like, I don't know, like 14th or 15th straight day. And you guys are worried? Like, because the price has gone down a little bit? Like, okay. Yeah, honestly, like, in like the volume, there's no shares left. Like, they're just trading like the same shares back and forth with each other and just driving down the price, because there's not enough buyers right now that are just able to drive out these high frequency trading. That's the truth. Like, right now, most of retail is already in this, and at this point, they're just becoming FTDs. Like, they're kicking the can down the road, hoping that retail gets bored and sells. Like, I don't know what to tell you. That is what it is. Just Investor said, hit the like button. So if ATER doesn't pop Monday, I hope it pops after red box. Yeah, I mean, if you were playing that, I told you guys that, the warrants were up there at 11, and it ran up to 11, and it came right back down. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And right now, people think that Redbox will go up again. Yeah, it'll go up. It's possible, and then it will go back down on warrants. Like, it is what it is. All right. Yeah, I mean, they're going to mess with the stock and try to mess with retail's heads. Like, that's it. It is what it is. I just want to thank you for essentially carrying this movement. I mean, like, yeah, I don't like how retail is feeling right now. I don't like I wish it went straight up forever for you guys. But this is not how these things go. Like, if you looked at GameStop, you looked at, like, nothing ever moves in a straight line up. Like, there are going to be pullbacks. There's going to be things that scare the crap out of you. Like, I mean, I just want to cover this with you guys because I feel like this is important. And, like, I added some more GameStop today. I added more Aterian. Like, but this thing right here didn't go straight up all in one day. Like, this thing chopped around all over the place. And this day was a super scary day for anyone that wasn't in this. The stock went from like 150 all the way down to like, I don't know, $70 or something like that. Like, it hit a low at that point of that day of like $63. So you watched it drop like $90 in a day at one point. Do you think they thought it was over then? Yeah, a lot of people did. You know what happened the next day? It moved up. And then you know what happened the next day? It gapped up and then was pushing up here. And then this day, it was about to lose control, and then that's when they shut off the buy button. The 28th. I'm just telling you guys that this day, for a lot of people, they would have paper-handed. But, like, if you stick with it and you understand what you're looking at, like, you will get these days where you're gapping up and going, It doesn't ever move in a straight line. Let's see if this actually comes up. I don't think it's coming up. All right. But, yeah, I was going to show you another play but the stock's discontinued now on their new ticker. But what you'll find out is these things never go up in a straight line, especially when they have the ability to manipulate, But yeah, I'm not carrying this entire movement. That's silly. There's like literally hundreds of people who are putting out great information, great DD. I just put out some stuff with memes in it, and I am not a professional, so don't listen to me, right? Look like you had a Wyckoff accumulation today. Thoughts? Same. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a fight for either 450 or 5, most likely. Could they push it down to fight for 4? Sure. I mean, if we had no buying volume coming in, then yeah, they could probably do that. But I still think that there's longs in here that are not going to let it go too much further down than like 393. But I expect it more to be probably a fight for 450 or, that's, I think, where the battle lines have been drawn. I mean, if they'd love to get it down to 4 if they can to fight for that. But I think 450 is most likely where we're going to end up fighting. That's complete BS. My price alerts on TD don't pop up for PM or after hours. Yeah, I wish I had seen that because I would have totally snagged stock down there. I'm only nervous because I have calls. Yeah, I mean, and that's the problem with trading options is there's theta, and so what their plan right now is going to make it chop around as much as they can before that options change comes up, because the 520 options change keeps growing, and it's after earnings, and that's going to be a huge fight because you're going to have a lot more information about the stock, So, someone in your Discord tried lying about you selling your shares. Yeah, I didn't sell my shares. I still have my shares. Yeah, my guess would be, listen, there's like, I don't know, how many people are in the Discord now? There's like 3,300 people in there. like there's definitely bots and like short hedge funds, and they're gonna try to do anything they can. Like I'm telling you guys right now, I still have my position. I didn't sell anything, so. But yeah, like when you're playing options, yeah, that's when you can get nervous. Like if you don't like that pressure, just buy shares if you like them. If you don't, it doesn't matter. Like not financial advice, but there's never any time limit on there's no theta on commons. So if you're someone that's going to be nervous about that, I mean, honestly, like your downside is about $3 worth of risk right at this point right now, or like $2 and something cents, and your upside's way higher. So like to me, like yeah, they drop it down to two or three. Hell, I'd buy even more, knowing what I know now that. They're already, I don't think they can even do that, to be honest with you. If they can drop the price that low, that'd be amazing. Because honestly, there's so many more shares that can be bought. Like, think about this. Like, if you knew that the stock was going to probably run up to like, I don't know, like 10 or 12, right? Just off like a normal glance. And you said, okay, maybe it's going to go 15. Maybe it's going to go to 20. Maybe it's going to hit those 25 warrants. And I can buy them at $2 a share. You would have loaded the boat. But everyone was really nervous back there and like, could it hit 142? That was the big running joke. Because that was the all-time low on Aterian from like back when they had a much smaller float. So like it didn't make sense to have that stock go that low again. In fact, like 210 was pretty ridiculous because it was underneath current asset values. So like when you're looking at this, like if they could drop the stock back down this area, like I'll take the entire proceeds of my. I found at my house sale, they pushed back the. I'm selling my house, and I was all excited because I thought it was going to be done today, and it turns out that the buyer did. What does this text message say? I saw it and basically just said that like. Yeah. Settlement's not happening tomorrow. The back end investor increased the money down to 5% more, and the lender is trying to get a gift approved and move back. So I don't know what that means, but basically it sounds like I'm not going to be able to get my money tomorrow. So, but I'll have to wait. Maybe I'll get a bigger dip. Who knows? No, I don't think that people are dumping Aterian to jump on BBIG. Like no, that's not, I think, what happened. I think those are two very separate things. Number one, retail investors typically don't trade after hours. So, yeah. Keep commons as first. This is what G-Man says, but he said, keep commons and sprinkles the options. Yeah, that's a very safe way of doing it. That's what DFV did. He bought common shares of GameStop, and then he bought some long-dated leaps, and he made a lot of money in doing that. So, is it possible that these hedge funds have friends in other countries that trade while it's in off hours? I mean, honestly, you can set up a computer program to do it too. You have an algo that can do all sorts of things. Who picked this music? Is there music? Am I going crazy? Is there music? My thoughts on earnings. I think they honestly. I don't think they matter. Like it, the earnings will have nothing to do with FTDs. The earnings will have nothing to do with the fact that there's probably more shares floating out there of Aterian. I think what's going to end up happening is the revenue is going to increase, and I think that they'll miss on certain aspects like the earnings per share. Maybe a slight beat. We'll see. I mean, it depends on like. Kind of their overall picture, but we could see another thing like the last couple, which is revenue increases. You have a slight improvement on maybe earnings per share, which will beat expectations, and then they'll still slam the stock. So I mean, it is what it is. Stephen, hey Maureen, some fools are spreading FUD about you selling. Yeah, I didn't. So I don't know who that is, but I didn't sell. Can you explain how they cover FTDs via swaps and derivatives? That'd be like an entire, like I probably have to do an entire video on that, like separate from like a live stream, because like you're getting into like how the sausage is made there. There's actually some pretty good information on Supersnock. If you want to learn about some of that stuff, there have been some good pieces that have been put out about it. If you want, I can try to dive into that, but that's something that like I would need to actually prepare. I'm not going to be able to like just do that on the fly. So I'll if you want, Mason, I'll take a look and add it to the things I need to probably do at some point. Ben the Plumber. I have 18K shares. It has 520 $3 calls, which I plan to exercise. Short of DRS, are there any other ideas to apply pressure while we just wait volume? It seems like cat and mouse. Yeah, I mean, like like most people have to be patient. Like this isn't like if we had maintained all this volume, then yeah, it would have flown like up to 12 or 15 like right away. But the thing is, like, this right here was when the market started really tanking. And so you're basically going against a huge headwind of the market crashing around us. And they're taking advantage of that because all the big guys that were playing with Aterian are now dealing with like putting out fires that are like way bigger than us. Like all these hedge funds are literally like watching, long assets crashing around them. Like they're not here to play with us anymore. Like whoever came in on this thing, they've got bigger fish to fry right now, and they'll probably come back around at some point and jump back in, and, buy another leg up, and we'll fly up, and it will be fun. But like at this point right now, you have to realize that these hedge funds that were playing with us in the beginning, once the market crashed, which was around this time frame, everything's gone to shit since then, and because of that, we're looking at like a serious amount of like lack of volume because number one, the shares are less. So there's already FTDs piling up. We're on reg show. There's not a lot of shares to go around. And so what we could see is a lull like GameStop had, which was like basically the volume dries up. There's no shares available to trade. So like, but the difference is our stock price is so much lower that options are still pretty cheap. And that at some point down the road, there's going to be something that sets this off again, whether it's volume, whether it's news from the company, whether it's, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be able to, we can finally hear from the company after earnings. And that would be nice to do. We'd like to hear from them because they've been in this SEC quiet period. And now they really have to watch what they're saying because obviously during the middle of a short squeeze, they have to be careful. Their lawyers have already probably said to them, like, there's certain things you can't say or else we can get sued. So can you elaborate on DRSing our long ATER holdings? Yeah, I mean, so Philadelphia Transfer or Stock Transfer is the DRS agent, which is like a transfer agent. And if you call them up, you can talk to them about how to do it. I did the same thing months and months ago. Basically, all I did was I talked to the woman. She answered a lot of questions I had, which was, can I sell the stock when I'm having it with you like ComputerShare does? And the answer is no. You have to transfer it back to your brokerage, but it would take probably a day or two to get it transferred back to your brokerage. So like that's the one disadvantage, and that's why a lot of people didn't do it in the beginning, was because they weren't going to be able to sell their stock from the DRS place. But my point was, if I'm not willing to sell the stock at $3-4 a share, why would I care if it takes a day or two? Like, if I'm not planning on selling down here, it's not like we're going to run straight up to like, $25 in one day. Like, so anyway, that's DRSing. Like, if you want, I can post a thing about it. And if people are interested, like, yeah, you're going to take away ammo because you're assuming your brokers are actually have bought and are holding your shares. What if they're not? We don't get to see this FTD data. What if they're just kicking the can down the road, deciding not to buy any of these shares that you guys actually purchased? And so they're just sitting on IOUs. You're sitting on IOUs right now that you don't know. And what could possibly be happening is they're just eating all these FTDs, paying the fines to try to get this stock to go down. I mean, that's, obviously T+3, once they don't do that, they would create more FTDs. But we don't get to see this data until the 15th. So this entire section right here that we don't know, like the cutoff was right here. So we don't know what's happening from here, 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 here. Any of this stuff won't be released until the 15th of May. So I don't know if you mentioned, but there was some wacky action in after hours. Someone posted that they grabbed 180K shares borrowed and then dumped after hours. Was that super low volume? I don't think it was that much. Let's see. All right, so this right here, this rundown right here, I see 33,000. This was about 19, 12. I mean, like, and you're assuming that this is all selling, but like, I mean, I don't think it's that much. I don't think it's 180K shares. Vlad AB. I don't know what that is. You need to realize we were coming up on some liquidations and arrests. The game is changing very shortly. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Because this has been ridiculous, obviously. But yeah, like, honestly, this is just somebody that was selling off, like, very quickly, very rapidly. I don't think, just based off this, I don't think they were looking to get their best price. Like, you guys realize this RSI hit, was it 7? 4? Something like that? Like 5? 5.4? Somewhere around that? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you don't see stuff like that normally. Like, this was somebody basically just unloading as fast as they could. And why did they do that? If they're not trying to get the best price. Like, if you're a normal seller, you're trying to get the best price for your money. Like, you don't want to sell for a loss. You want to sell when the stock's going up. So, like, if you were actually, for example, let's say you were selling the stock, right? And here's what you do, right? You wait for this run up here, and then you start bleeding your shares off into it, trying to get the best price for them. That's how a logical person would sell their shares. This is not a logical person selling their shares. This is a scare tactic. This is saying, I want to get out of this, and it's after hours, so it makes no sense. So this is just them freaking retail out. So now you guys are going into tomorrow when they're going to really attack the stock, and you're going to go, this thing could go down to 405 and maybe even 393, and it's going to make you want to sell. That's what they're doing. And like, if you believe what they're showing, like, this is just them fucking with your heads. Like, it happens all the time in the stock market. Like, they're getting desperate. They need your shares. And so, you know, you have to make a decision. Like, for some people, they're going to sell and they're going to go, that's it. And other people are going to go, I'm willing to buy that dip, and I wish I, saw that price down there because I would have bought the shit out of that. Yeah, and they're trying to kick the can down the road. Like, what if they're kicking the can down the road for dilution in September? Well, I'll tell you this right now. September's a long ways away. And they're already on Reg Show. And what I can tell you about that is, with Reg Show, you can go a couple days, right? But the days of them going 666 days like overstock are done. Like, the SEC's not going to allow that. So they're getting to the point now where some of these brokers are going, you're starting to make us nervous with this stock. There's a lot of FTDs piling up. Like, you may have to let it go and up a little bit before, just to kind of get some of these shares back. Because if they're literally failing to deliver millions of shares on a stock that's really a small cap, like, small float, that gets super dangerous, because they can really, this price can get out of hand really quickly. Like, it doesn't take a ton of volume to make the stock fly, especially if retail already owns the shares. So, but yeah, so let's take a look real quick. I think it's better on this one because I can zoom out. All right. So here we are, right? we're sitting here, we're kind of chopping around. It's forming basically a nice. We're gonna probably hit our climax somewhere around the 17th, 18th, 19th, somewhere around that time frame. Around the 20th, essentially, is when this is all gonna kind of come to a head. And earnings is right here, so that could be a possible catalyst. Sorry, earnings is further in. It is roughly here. So, I mean, we're coming up on a spot where, things are going to start really moving and shaking soon. So, but I want you to zoom out and look. So they have been on Reg Show since here. Do you really think they're going to be able to make it all the way past another earnings in here and then to September 6th, which is right here? That means that they have to go from here and make it through retail buying and holding every single week that long. I don't think they're going to be able to make it. Because I showed you guys, if there was 50K retail investors all around the world, which we already know that number keeps growing and growing and growing for Aterian. Do you guys really think they're going to be able to make it all the way to September here? September 6th? Right there? Do you think they're going to make it if retail buys and holds this stock for that long? I don't think they'll make it. And there's another earnings in there too. So that's what I think, Jackie Lee. I think that they won't make it to September before something crazy happens. It's so crazy that retail doesn't understand that money isn't leaving the stock. The money flow shows that. We're primed for big things. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And please review tomorrow's options chains. Yep. I need to pull that up. Give me a second. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the options chain. So I have to do this off over here. So I will. Okay. So we are going into Aterian's option chains. I've been telling people 350s, 4s. That's what I like. I know this stock can get messed with. That's my personal, how I'm investing it. But, everyone's doing their own thing. So, let's go ahead and take a look. And I will post this over on the side so you guys can see what I'm doing. All right. All right, I'm just going to look at this one, just this week's. So I'm not going to pull up next week's yet. We'll deal with that another time. But in the meantime, by the way, I think I'm going to get a new mic because I heard I was a little bit quiet. This microphone's a little bit quiet, and I read up on it. And apparently, because I'm using one that came from an amplifier, like an actual music mic, when it gets into like a USB thing, it somehow degrades the sound quality. The decibels are less. So I need to buy or I need to get what's called some sort of amplifier before it gets into the computer. All right. So ATER options for 5, 6, right? Yeah, 5, 6, 22. All right. Let's bring it over here. I'll do you guys can watch me mess around with this then. All right. So I always do this in purple for the strikes. I always do yellow. Oops. Shit. That's supposed to be purple. Click off it. Now we do yellow. Maybe I should change this to green in the future, but the way TD does it, they always do. And this is what I was calling out to everybody. Maybe, apparently, me not streaming the last 2 nights, people are freaking out. But what I was trying to explain in the past was that they were going to basically try to slide this down because they were basically increasing the amount of puts, especially in this area. And they were just going to try to walk it right down. And then that way, because they're not hedging these, obviously. So the market maker's going, yeah, well, I'm not hedging any of those. So they're going to try to burn premiums, and that's what they do. That's a market maker. They're trying to make their money. So we're sitting right here right now, right? We dropped, what did we close at? 465, right? I know it's lower than that right now, but no, sorry. We closed 493. It got pushed down to the 460s in after hours. So we still are above the 450. So we're right here right now as of 8 o'clock. And they're going to probably make a run at it in the morning. But, like, the fight's going to be basically right here. So maybe I'll put a blue circle or something so we show you where we are on this options chain. Let me make that smaller. Okay. So right here, oops. I don't like that. Let's try it again. Maybe someday I'll get a nice... All right, so that blue is the fight. The fight's going to be right here, like in this range. Okay. So right here is going to be the fight for tomorrow. It could get pushed down to here if they're really, really, if there's, low volume, nobody's buying, then we could see a fight for, this area right here. But most likely it's going to be right here at 450. That's my guess. We've closed the evening at 493. My guess would be this, between this range right here is where the fight is going to be. And it all just depends on what's going to go on tomorrow. So let's take a look at some of these numbers. So remember, what you do is, we're assuming most of these right here are probably bullish retail calls. That's probably the most likely thing. So what's going to end up happening is this. So right now, they are going to, we'll see the number tomorrow morning, but my guess will be they'll probably be at least like 3K in the money, like put $5 put options. And you're also going to have these up here, the 550s. And when we were sitting up here earlier in the week, I said what was going to happen was they started loading up these numbers, on the daily volume down here. And what they were going to do was they were just going to push the stock down by not hedging this stuff up here. And then they were just going to walk it down. And that's exactly what they did. I basically called it out on like Monday or Tuesday that this is what I see happening, and that's exactly what's happened, because it's happened the last 3 weeks. Like, they start stacking up out of the money put options, and then they get the stock to go down, and then all they do is they sit there and they push the stock down by buying in the money options and not hedging this stuff. And that's what the market maker wants. They want it to be close to max pain, and that's where we are. So what I foresee happening is this. They will probably have to deal with these numbers down here. And that's it. And that's not a ton of shares. Like, you're looking at like 200,000 shares, what I see is this fight right here. So this is going to be important, because if we end up over 450 and even push up towards the 5, then they might actually have to hedge these 450s. So that will be interesting if retail is buying and holding these. Now, here's the thing. I wouldn't be buying and stacking these, though, because personally, that's too risky, because they could easily just push it down and then end up 440 with short, if they use their short exempts and just push it slightly down below 450, that would not be somewhere that I would be comfortable placing bets for a Friday OPEX when, Sorry, I'm just rubbing my eye. So, I would not be placing my bets right here. I'd be placing my bets down here, personally, like in this range right here. Like, these are safer to me than these right here at 450. So, what I can tell you is this: that all these up here are great, but they're going to get burned probably. unless we get a massive spike and then they have to scramble because they've not hedged any of this stuff. I can tell you right now, like based off of our like price movements, they didn't hedge any of this shit. In fact, they're making sure that they hopefully don't even want to hedge this, and they're just right now hedging their puts, and so they're basically picking and choosing, and that's we can't help that. But what we can do, it's if you buy your shares, commons, that's great. If you choose to do the options chains, what I've been preaching and things that I do myself is I'm buying these deeper in the money ones, and when the price gets right, I just say, okay, I'm going to make these guys give it to me. At least it's adding some pressure to the options chains, and it's adding for me like I don't mind paying a little extra premium if it's going to make them actually hedge, but this stuff up here not doing you any good, because if this goes into Friday and they don't hedge any of this stuff, this is all going to get burned. And so that's a lot of money and premiums that they're going to end up burning, and the market maker is going to be super happy, and they're going to throw a pizza party for themselves, and anyone that bought up here and these things are going to be super miserable and that's why they're frustrated, and that's why they might be scared right now, is because like I can't help it if you're buying out of their money options. And we started the week a little bit higher, like in this area, but like you have to realize that they are in control of the price, which means that unless you have something down here where you don't think they're going to be able to get it, your shares could be burned. And that's how options work. Like if you looked at yesterday's SPY, like if you were bearish going into FOMC, you got completely burned. And you were right. The stock market crashed, but it didn't crash the day of OPEX. They pushed that stock to where they needed it to be, which was higher. And it burned all those puts. And then what ends up happening? They pushed the stock back down. Like the SPY crashed today. And it went down the exact amount that they went up yesterday just to burn those calls or those puts. So I'm just telling you guys, like, that's what these guys do. They're going to manipulate the stock to go where they want it to. That happens all the time. And so, unless we get like a giant spike in volume, or we get a ton of, deep in the money buying pressure, what's going to end up happening is all this stuff's going to go unhedged. And I mean, I would love to just see some whale come in and just buy like a crap ton of like 250 calls and just be like, yeah, deliver them to me. Like I would love nothing more than to see them scramble to actually hedge all this shit up here, knowing that they were going to have to like hedge these, which means that they actually have to start buying some of these 450s. They have to buy some of these 5s. Then they have to start buying these 550. Like just have like a whale come in and just like buy the crap out of like some $2 250 calls and just like ruin their Friday pizza party. But that's very optimistic thinking. But yeah, like if there was a ton of deep in the money like stuff that would make them start hedging because someone's willing to pay an extra premium, which most people are not willing to do that, but if somebody was willing to do that, then what you would see is basically these start having to get hedged. And once they start hedging these, this is actually a lot of shares, So is this, and so as the stock starts running, then they have to hedge more. They start de-hedging this stuff, and that's where it would get messy. But, it is what it is. But, yeah, that's the options chains right now. My guess is they're going to have to deal with this fight area right here, and we'll see what the numbers grow to. So that's part of it. Let me go back now to... give my man some likes, says yes. What's your take on Ortex showing a negative minimum cost to borrow? Is it a glitch? Let me check. I do have Ortex. Let me pull it up real quick. I mean, like, a negative cost to borrow would be obviously not something you see very often, because you're literally paying other people to... I don't see a negative cost to borrow. I see 152%. And the average is 147%. I see there's a negative number, which is the amount of short interest that went down slightly. But I don't see anything that's a negative cost to borrow. Let me check on Fintel. Let's see. Fintel. Let's go through and take a look. So if we type in Aterian. Just go to short interest. Yeah. All right. So I see 10K shares, and I see 108 right now on Fintel. So, yeah, I don't see a negative cost to borrow. Maybe it was just a short period of time that it was doing that. It's probably a glitch. I'm surprised they didn't tank the price during the day and then hit. I think they were trying to be honest with you. I think they thought that they were going to be able to just have the price completely tank, and they were just going to scare the shit out of retail. And I think retail was buying, basically every time it dropped below, 493, retail kept buying it. I mean, therefore hit more stop losses, induce more panic. Dropping the price in after hours seems counterproductive to their goal. No, I mean, it's psychological warfare. I mean, so casing, I want you to think about this. How many people talked to me about this tonight? All right, so let's go to the 1 minute, right? If I go here to the 1 minute, do you know how many people hit me up with DMs? And this made retail nervous as fuck. Let's be completely honest. This made retail really nervous. Because people are hitting me up, what's going on with after hours? What's going on with after hours? Yeah, it seems counterproductive, but it's a mind game. For anyone that's never been around psychological warfare, I can't go into much detail, but I think I told some other people, that when I was in the Marines, we worked next to the S3 and some of the, some of the special units that did intelligence and stuff like that, and they would question, POWs. And you saw weird stuff going on over there, and I can't say what I saw, but you saw weird stuff going on over there, and it was to break people. They do a lot of stuff to intimidate, to scare. These guys hire literally people to that mess with people's heads. Think about how good they are at it. Think about how good they are at making you nervous that you may. I think I told people, you got dealt a royal flush, and yet all these people keep questioning their hand. You have the best hand in the game, but yet you're somehow nervous and question that, that's what boggles my mind. So yeah, it seems counterproductive, but what they're doing is they're basically just, all retail is this is now in their heads. The stock dropped to 405. My buddy texts me. He's like, "What's going on in after hours? Should I sell?" I'm like, "No. You do whatever you want, man. But I'm just mad I missed that because I would have loved to actually bought shares down here." So yeah, it seems counterproductive, but it's not. It's what they do. Do you think they'll be able to dip it tomorrow? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly. They pushed it down today. They didn't get what they wanted, so they did it during, here, let's go out to the 5 minute. They wanted it to go more than this. Look at this. We went down, 6%? At one point it was 8, but it's pretty much a sideways day. It's it's slightly down sideways day. It's not that big. We're not this is a more significant drop, this right here, right? That's a huge candle. That's the waterfall they wanted to show off, and they didn't get it because every time they dipped it down, retail would buy it back up. But retail doesn't pay attention in after hours, right? Retail traders aren't trading in after hours. You know who is? Smart money. So guess what? This is just smart money fucking around and scaring the shit out of people. And honestly, it's going to stick in some people's heads, and other people are going to like listen to this and be like, yeah, they're just playing fuck games. And if you want to, then, buy the dip. And if you don't, then you sell and you do whatever you want. Like, it's not financial. I don't provide financial advice in here. I'm just telling you guys how the market works. And so, to the best of my ability. Like, I'm telling you what stuff I've noticed, things that I know that I've seen after trading, for many years. So, patiently holding. Good job, Scott. Interactive's the far best for Canadians. Yep. Saying it took them way less ammo to tank it after hours. Yeah, I mean, that's all it is. You can control this, like 20K in Aterian can make the stock go like up here or down here. Like, it doesn't take much in after hours because there's no volume at all. There's no one there trading. It's just, you can mess with the stock if you want to. All right. Direct routing works well with IBKR. It's not bad, but another broker, yeah. Isn't that how brokers make their money? Yeah, brokers make their money by multiple different ways. Your bid-ask spread. They also make money lending out your shares. They make money on when you sell a stock that they don't buy, and then you sell for less than what you bought it for, and they get to buy your shares later on for cheaper. Who do you think keeps that money? So imagine this. So think about this. So imagine you're sitting there with your brokerage, right? And you bought your shares at like, I don't know, let's say like $6 a share. And then the stock proceeded to tank, right? And so you decide, you know what, I'm selling here. So you sold at like 4 something, right? Well, they haven't actually bought your shares yet. So what do? They just turn around, they buy your shares back. So they start buying your shares up, right? So they buy your shares up, and they go, well, he paid $6 for these, and we just bought them for, 480s. Who do you think keeps that money? Do you think they give it back to you? Like, well, we only bought this for 480, so like, here's your money back for what the difference is. Fuck no, sorry, watch my language. No, they don't do that. They keep that money. So like, you guys have to realize your broker is not on your side. Your broker is very much on their own side, and if they can screw you over to make more money, they're going to do it. So there's lots of different ways brokers make money, and you guys should probably watch that Anton video that I showed most of the people in the Discord when they first joined, because it's very, very eye-opening listening to smart money talk about dumb money. Brokers won't gouge retail. Yeah, those guys are too greedy. Yeah, it's very true, overminding. All right. Too much volume to dip it. Stop losses, which causes a flash crash. So I do not see major reversals. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the stock went right back up. Like, it went down to 405, it hit down there, and then it just went back to like 460s. Like, that's where it probably was just going to be bleeding off to anyway. I mean, they're going to try to walk it down to like 450 tomorrow, but like, that's going to be their goal pre-market. So, because it's easy to push the stock down in after hours. Like, you can also push the stock up just as easily. If you start slapping the ask in the after hours, you'll send the stock soaring until you hit a sell wall. Not sure if public lets you go through it, but guess what the Discord watches all day long? Yep, the price. Yep, that's what people do. Thanks, Hemez. All right. DD didn't change. It's hilarious. Yeah, like the DD has not changed. Like that's the thing that people this morning were like, you need to really get out there. People are like making. I'm like, what is going on with you guys? Like, I was gone for 2 days and like the world fell apart. Like, come on, like. You guys read the DD. You know what's going on. Like, there's nothing that changed. Like, I put out the FTD data and that DD on, like, what was it, Monday or Tuesday? And, like, nothing's changed since then. The only thing that's changed is the price. So, all right. Yeah, everyone wants instant gains and has this attention of the goldfish. And if you want to do that, go to the Wall Street Bets goldfish and let them pick your next stock for you. Like, hell, if you want, I'll buy a tank and you guys can I'll buy some sort of fish and you guys can invest that way. You know, I've done the research. I did DD. I know what I've seen, and this stuff doesn't add up, and I'm gonna continue buying the stock long. Yeah, I mean, like, and the markets are bleeding off. That's what Gmail was saying. Like, yeah, like, let's see. Chad says, let's go. What's up, Chad? Hayden, if it's so easy to drop in the after hours, why aren't they doing it every day? Because there's also longs that are in after hours, too, that, like, literally just, like, all right, you want to give me that stock at that price? Sure. And I'll just buy it right back up. Like, there's algos on both sides. Somebody just did the flash crash to try to, like, mess with retail. So, and yeah, there could have been, like, it's possible somebody had a stop loss in there and they were like, if they had to go to a close, then it's possible they try to trigger that stop loss. That's the problem with payment for order flow. They get to see where your stuff is. So if you had a stop loss, say, for example, at, let's say a bunch of people, this is just a hypothetical, I don't know this for a fact, but let's say there was a bunch of people that had 450 stop losses, right? And good to close, meaning that that anytime that stock hits that price, right? Maybe they had like a 460. So these guys said, holy crap, there's a bunch of like these 460 stop losses. So what they did was in after hours, when they know they can push it down without any sort of resistance, all they did was they just sold off a ton of shares, made it hit that, and then dropped that stop loss and made that's probably my guess is what they were going for. So if you were sitting there and you had a stop loss and you had a good amount of shares, like let's say you had like 40K shares and you put in a stop loss at like 460 and you had good to close, these guys knew where your stop loss was and they hunted it out and they actually got it to execute. Like, that's all that's going to happen. And then the stock might just go back up to 490 tomorrow and sit there. But they got somebody because, that if you have a good to close, that's what ends up happening. And when the problem with payment for order flow is they get to see all your cards. So they know what you're planning on doing, when you're going to do it. So if you sit there and you have a sell order in and it's good to close, you just gave them a target. So how dare you go to dinner? Yeah, thanks, Market. Thanks for telling us to chillax. After hours is owned by those who... Yeah, half retail doesn't even know how to trade after hours. And some of them don't even have, access to it. Yeah, after hours is just them playing with people's emotions. Yep. What's up, fun? Congrats on whatever you're celebrating. Thank you. Appreciate it. BBIG pumped and then dumped, and they used the distraction. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. What's going on with them? They ran up, what, like $1 after hours, right? Something like that? Because they announced they're tied, right? That's the whole thing. I still want to see how that company's going to make money. Like, I mean, at heart, I'm a fundamental investor, so I need to see how they actually are going to make money. Because at this point, that's part of their thing. Is like, I got to see where this is coming from. Like, I see a lot of big promises on that particular one. I have some, and I bought them at $2 a share, and I'm going to be happy tomorrow. But is the low volume going to kill the squeeze? No. Like, honestly, like, it's just going to chop around. It's going to chop around until the volume comes back, and that's fine. Like, honestly, like, that's what happens with GameStop. If you look at GameStop, here, GameStop had no volume for many, 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 many moons. And then it ran back up, and then it ran back down, and that's kind of what they're doing with some of these, like, extended stocks that, let's see, if we go to, let's go to, like, the daily, right? look at this. You had all this huge amount of volume, right? We were sitting here with, stupid amounts of volume. What's number is that? 150 million. Probably it was more than that, I think, on some of these high days. But am I on the 1 hour? I'm on the daily. Okay. So look at this, right? This entire stretch down here forever. And you're getting like 1 million in volume. That's it. Like this entire stretch right here, 1 million in volume. Like, and guess who else did that? Look at this. So you have all this volume right here. I need to go over here. You have all this good volume here, right? And then what happens? You get the secondary spike, still have good volume, and then boom. We started trading like 1 million shares a day. And it did that forever, right? I moved the loading zone. Shoot. Okay. But the loading zone is supposed to be, I think, around here. Is that about right? Yeah. Because the last time we came down into this loading zone, we sprang back up. And we could dip down again and touch that, the moving average and head back up. And, this is that loading zone. Every time it falls in here, it doesn't stay there long, and it, accumulates and then goes back up. So, but yeah, we had no volume on this stock for a long, long time. We're still getting some volume. Like, yeah, today was low. Today was what, 7 million? No, almost 8 million. So today was 8 million. But I mean, compared to, if you go back just 4 weeks ago, we were having literally like less than 2 million volume daily. So we're not low volume yet. And honestly, what will end up happening is this. It will go back into these loading zones. Some sort of catalyst is going to happen pretty soon, because if you look, if they try to drop it back into this loading zone, right? Look at what date that is. That was when they would have to get it by. What happens on the 9th? Earnings. This is the earnings. So there's not that many days until earnings. Earnings is on, what, Monday? Is that right? Is it this Monday? Let me find out. Yeah, earnings is basically, we have 2 trading days until earnings. There you go. So, you want to see what could possibly happen? I mean, obviously, we've already crossed over on the MACD. We could push down, bounce off one of these things in the loading zone, and that's when you probably would see another spring. And that would line up exactly with the 9th, which is Monday. So, I mean, I hope my house gets sold tomorrow, but I don't think it will. So I'm hoping to be able to buy that dip in this area if it comes. And if it doesn't come and we just head up tomorrow, then I'll miss out on getting more shares, but it is what it is. Like, we could just be basically, if you kind of wedge this out, like, we're coming to a culmination, which is going to happen basically right around, like, right after earnings. So, I mean, you have another day of like kind of sideways movement. Maybe we finish over 5. Maybe we finish 450, which is like right in this area right here. And then this is earnings right here. So, we'll see. Hey, Anon, if we need volume to get it pushing upward, but we have a float locked up and everyone's holding, how do we get that volume? You need new buyers. So here's the thing. When this was running up, you had a ton of new buyers. So these were people that were not in the stock previously. Because what was... Let me just show this to you real quick. All right. Let's go to the daily, right? This is the daily. All right. So I need to zoom out. So here, look at this. These were the original buyers of this time frame. Stock ran up, retail FOMO's in, retail kind of stays. They're holding, get another bump up, You see the stock slightly move up, retail is, buying again, and then it goes right back down. And then everyone's miserable. But here's the thing. This was a new set of buyers because look at the money flowing in, or all of a sudden, all these people that were holding all of a sudden found money again in this area. But you now see this going back up, and now it's even pinned even higher than it was. So there's now more money in this stock than there was back in this section right here. So, and now we're Reg Show, we're FTDs, all this stuff in this area. So look at this. Like, we're pinned up here at this top part right here. This has just been bleeding off. They've been selling it throughout this whole time. So the question is, you want to know about, like, how do we get volume? The more and more people that are buying and holding Aterian, and once they spent their money and they're just buying it, and now they're just sitting there holding, they're not creating any additional buying pressure. So Aterian has to still make noise. It still has to, there's got to be news that comes out that introduces the stock to new people. That's how you get new volume. And that's how you get volume spikes. Everyone on, like, Short Squeeze already knows about Aterian. They're already bought in. Everyone in, like, Reddit in those areas already knows about it. Everyone that's following stock twits. But, that's the thing. Like, if Aterian started, like, trending on stock twits and it wasn't just like a niche thing or niching, then, yeah, that would bring more eyes. And so every time that Aterian gets a headline, every time Aterian's getting their name out there, whether good or bad, it's getting more people exposed to the stock. And so, I mean, just like anything, and like, think of it as marketing. Like, if you kept hearing about some ticker, you eventually will look at it yourself. Maybe it's not for you, maybe it is, but, like, you heard about Aterian from somewhere, whether it was my DD, whether it was somebody else's DD, whether it was, just somebody was, spamming it on Wall Street Bets and they got kicked out, and you're like, what was that? That actually brought some people in. But, like, that's where you'll find more volume. When people start getting introduced to it. And my guess is after earnings, they'll have a lot more to talk about. And so, we're going to get to see the good, bad, the ugly with the earnings. And so, the nice thing is I do write DD, and I can break down, kind of the balance sheet. And we'll kind of go over those numbers. And that's going to be, something that we at this point don't have numbers from until, like, I think, like, the 10K had some numbers, and then we got, like, a slight bit of numbers from the last earnings. But, like, we don't have, like, a very updated, like, I'd love to find out where the cash is. I want to know what's, there have expenses gone down? Are there, like, areas that they're trying to trim? Like, there's all sorts of things we're going to learn from reading through their balance sheet. So I'll write a DD on it, and then I'll write the ultimate, Aterian DD again. I'll rewrite it and then kind of go over to new investors that might see it for the first time because they're seeing some headlines about it. But that's where the volume comes from. Like, if you have new buyers, this was new buyers. Like, honestly, people were excited. The stock was moving up, and then, the FTD starts building up. And because this price has been going down, though, retail never buys in when they should. You should be buying things when they're down here at $2, not when they're at 10. But, like, that's how retail runs. They run with something that is moving already, and then they get run over, and then they sell for a loss, and then they lose money, and that's how retail trades. But, like, smart money is, like, stacking up down here, and they unload when it's up here. Like, that's how smart money trades. And so, I'm just, and the really interesting thing is the smartest money are the guys that have just said, all right, we trapped these guys here, and we're not going to spend a ton of capital on this. So all we're going to do is just keep this thing kind of going in an upward motion. If they fall behind too much, we'll buy buy these dips, and then we don't want to be accused of manipulating anything or pushing, stock higher. So what we're going to do is just sit back and just kind of fill in the gaps when they need to be filled in, and we'll play the long game on this. And so that's what the smart longs are doing. Yeah, I mean, the entire market's bleeding off. So, of course, like, Aterian's going down with the market, and people are just freaked out. you mean bigger gains? So people are trying to like talk about. Listen, BBIG, on the warrants. Like I hope they, like I've done my DD on them. I need to probably go back into it because this is obviously going to change things with Tide. But yeah, like I'm not going to talk about it on the stream too much because this is mainly an Aterian stream. But yeah, like we're going to have to see what's going to go on going forward, and if there are going to be a lot more details on the release that they just put out that I need to go through. I've not read through the press release or the SEC filings, so that's something I will be going into at some point. An emotional stock, lots of people watch it just to watch percent change for a good entry. Yeah, I mean, I've been here since March, started buying at 380. There you go, Blaze. I'm very emotionally damaged, but I will hold. It's okay, yes. You'll be okay. 214 people in here. How many hedge funds? Yeah, I mean, it's 229 now in here. So, yeah, and Jeff's been holding BBIG since September. Yeah, like, I mean, BBIG stuff, I won't go too much into it, but I'm just saying, like, if you look at their OBV, it looks like ours. Like, the same thing. Like, the stock's been manipulated down. You can go through, like, a handful of these. Like, let's look at ATER again. Yeah, same thing. Like, let's look at, was it BBBY? Look at that. Like, that's another one. Highly manipulated. AMC. Same thing. You look at normal stocks. Look at, what's a normal stock? Like, Ford. Look at that. OBV, money flow go up, money flows out of it. Did you see that when we do that with Aterian? No. Because retail bought and they held and they still are holding, and they can't shake retail out, so it's pissing off the hedge funds that shorted all these things, and now they don't know what to do, and they have these huge baskets of meme stocks, which is basically just like we naked short sold these things and we don't know what to do now. So we're just kicking the can. We're throwing it. Like, that's what they're doing with these stocks. That's my guess. I'm supposed to say allegedly. That allegedly they're doing something with these stocks that's weird and it's abnormal, and the stock indicators are showing that there's a lot of stuff that's not making sense. So yeah, like all these stocks that are retail favorites that have been really manipulated down, they're all going to end up at some point, like, they're all going to probably move up, and they'll probably move up together. And at that point, it's going to expose a whole lot of corruption on the Wall Street. Am I an idiot for buying Aterian at 530? No. I mean, we're only down, what, like, we've closed the day at 493. You bought at 530. If it drops down to 4 and you don't buy then and it runs to 20, then yeah, you'll probably feel like a bigger idiot for not buying the dip. But I did the same thing with GameStop. Like, I bought a bunch of shares when it was in the hundreds, and I kicked myself for not reading DFE's DD earlier, because I could have bought in $10. I got in at 17, which is a good price compared to where it's much higher now. But like, the honest truth is, I wish I read his stuff back when it was way earlier and bought when he did, because I'd be much happier. He who has never sets expectations can never be disappointed. There you go, Fun. That's very wise. I bet that some jumped on the Aterian shit. I would be willing to bet some jumped the ATER ship for the BB. Yeah, I mean, I don't think most people own both, to be honest with you. A lot of retail owns both. So I just know when I'm looking at things like this, every one of these is going to have their day at some point, unless they're completely abandoned by retail. But you can tell, like, retail's still in this stock, retail's still in all these other stocks. And, I bet you if we even pulled up, like, prog, it probably would look very similar. Well, there's slumping a little bit, but yeah, like theirs still is pretty high too. Like, you know, you can go through any of these retail favorites. What's the other one? Like ESC or something like that? Yeah, I mean, look at these things. Like, this one's a little more, like, logical. But, like, most of these stocks that you would see, you know, mentioned in meme stuff, you know, like, you'll notice that money flows. You know, look at Peloton. So, like, they were a meme stock for a little bit, but then they actually got, like, some movement. So they're actually moving like a normal stock would. Still interesting here, though, but yeah. Anyway, I've been buying since 14, averaged down to 650. Yeah, fun. You'll be green again soon. That's what I think. Brokerage firms that offer margins to investors get easily liquidated. Yeah, so a lot of people get over leveraged, and then what ends up happening is they know this, so they'll stop loss them out manually. They'll basically just drop the price down, so they basically have to sell their shares. So Mike is correct. The stock dips, and they have to liquidate their shares, and because most retailers don't know how that works, they end up having to liquidate shares that they weren't planning on selling. So, Z-Man Jones. Maybe we've talked about this, but what happened in after hours? See? Like, all those people that were listening to me earlier, and then we were like, well, what's, you know, and they were like, why are they doing that if it's not really going to do anything? Because everybody's talking about it. Like, freak people out. All right. The RSI is way oversold. Yeah, like this is Peloton, but let's go back to Aterian. Like, let's pull up the, what was it, the 1 hour. Look at this. We're sitting there we're below 30. We're in the 20s on the RSI. Yeah. I've averaged up. Now I'm at 522. Yeah. And then tomorrow, maybe you'll get to average up or average down again. Who knows? Hold my hand, Daddy Anon. All right. We all needed to hear from you today. Sincere thank you for live streaming. Yeah, of course, Jason. I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't realize everyone was going to fall apart if I wasn't around for like 2 days. You guys are fine. Like, trust me. Like, you know what you're doing. You've read DD. Like, just, you know, if you're an emotional trader, don't watch the stock every day. Goat's not scared. He ain't scared. All right. They have to run distractions and get them out. Yeah, I mean, like, they need your shares. They'll do whatever is possible and whatever it takes to get your shares. If that means dropping the stock down to something that's ridiculous, they're going to try. I mean, I showed you that GME thing. Like, GameStop, they went from 160 down to, like, I think it was 70 a share in the same day. That was a huge drop. And then what happened 2 or 3 days after that? Stock ran to like 500 pre-market. Yeah. All right. So let's see. Meme stocks not working this year. Yeah, I mean, meme stocks are just being manipulated. That's all this is. Like, anyone that knows understands what's going on. Like, they can't admit what they did. Because if they admit what they did, then there's going to be lawsuits out the wazoo. So, you know, they can't admit that they've been messing around. That they did all this stuff. Let's see. That was such good insight. Last time I should have made a bunch. Yeah, I mean, like, so people want to know about, like, how all this works. So when you have warrants at a certain level, at times the underwriter will pump up stocks just to hit certain levels. So like, for example, like Redbox, when we were talking about it the other day, I said Redbox is going to move, but they're going to dump. It's high risk, high reward. So they were sitting down here. Everybody was talking about them, right? So they're sitting down here at $3 a share. Where are their warrants? Their warrants were at $11 a share. So as soon as it ran up to 11, it's now dumped, and now it's continuing to dump. They had dilution happen. That's what this was. Like, this was a normal, like, this is what these guys do. They basically come in here, the stock's chopping around. They need to get the price up to where their warrants are so they can actually get cash. Redbox has no cash. Why do they do that? So they can unlock the cash up here. So they get the stock up here, now they get the cash, and now they're going to go back down. And they may have another run back up to 11 to get the rest of the cash. Like, these things can move around. Aterian's got them at 15 and 25. Oops, that's not it. Yeah, so like Aterian's got warrants at 15 and they've got them at 25, and they would love to get to that cash. So, so if volume doesn't dry up, what will make it pop? Like Catalyst, we have earnings coming up. We have, Aterian hasn't said anything in a long time, but they're not able to until after earnings. We're going to be able to hear a lot more about this company after earnings. So they've even said they would be able to at least talk to me after earnings. So I will, try to be in contact with them after that. I mean, I'm not asking them anything that any normal investor wouldn't. I would just be asking them normal things about their business operations and just kind of going from there and just trying to find out, what their plans are for, obviously they've had a bunch of like black swan events happen to them with the shipping and all that stuff. So let's see. If retail would stop buying out of the money options, we'd probably see some price action. Yeah, probably. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, the old spurt stuff, it shows you, though, that like they mess with the stock right before it takes off. And so that's why it doesn't even, to me, I just kind of go, yeah, the price is down. It's, usually that happens before it moves up. They try to really just shake the tree a couple last times before they have to cover. I showed you guys over here. Like, they push it down to cover. They push it down because they're covering. I mean, it happens all the time. So, is May 20th $10 out of the question now? No, I don't think so. I mean, like, nothing's out of the question. Like, if earnings are decent and institutions start buying Aterian again, then if there's no shares of Aterian left to buy, then the stock's going to move up in price because their shares go to the lit exchange. So, yeah, but they're going to try to burn the premiums, and that's what they do. So, I'm sorry I'm late. I was getting food. Hedge funds got to pay. Week over week, the price swings are smaller and the frequency of the drops are increasing. This makes me think they're running out of ammo. Yeah, they are. Like, and yeah, there's going to be retail that they can shake out a little bit, and so they'll get like a little bits of ammo here and there, and they'll use that to their advantage. But like, for the most part, I think retail as a whole is holding on, and just slowly over time they're accumulating. Like, and it will take maybe couple more days, couple more weeks, but if retail keeps growing, if the interest in Aterian keeps growing organically, like it has been, like I showed you guys that we're up like 6,000 people in the sub in like 1 month. Like, that's 6,000 people now buying Aterian when they can. That's, when you start having stuff like that happen, like BBIG had a huge, like, I think their sub was like, I don't know, 10K, 20K, something like that. I don't know how big it is, but like it got large. And so when you had that many people over time just buying and holding the stock, then even when it's down, like eventually you're going to, especially like they have a much bigger float, which is, another story, but Aterian's got a small float. So like if people were just smart and they just bought and held this company, like I personally am, I think the stocks can go higher. So I'm averaging out. I'm just buying every dip I can. I can hold longer than shorts to say. Yeah, I mean, like, shorts are paying over $100 cost to borrow. Like, how much does it cost you to hold your shares? Nothing. Like, I can do this all day. So Phil was asking, AMC and GME had monstrous followers and almost like a cult-like activity. Higher volume too. How does ATER compare? So and it says my honest opinion. So basically, Aterian has one advantage over those two. Right now, those two, their stocks are much higher in price. They also have much bigger floats. So Aterian at this point does not have a big float. I think you guys noticed like 26 million free float, right? So you also have a very low stock price when you're looking at it. So when you're sitting down here and you say, okay, we're sitting here at less than $5 a share right now. Retail can buy more shares and hold them at this level than you can if your stock's sitting at 116 or $15 a share, like 3 times the amount. Because retail's not rich. Most retail traders have a couple $100s coming in every couple weeks, and they can buy, a handful of shares. That's most retail investors. So, but that starts adding up when there's thousands of them. And so I think the more people that will see Aterian over time and realize it's not going away and it's became basically the same sort of thing where there's corruption, there's, like all sorts of things going on with this stock, it will grow, and it's worth, can someone throw, $5,000 or $500 at, a $5 stock? Yeah, a lot of people can, especially like rich people. Like I have a bunch of friends who just bought the stock. They were like, I don't know anything about it. You just said to buy it, so I threw like five grand at it, and I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. I mean, is it gonna go up? I'm like, well, I hope so. Yeah, I think it is. And they were like, yeah, I'm willing to throw some at it. And so that's that's not everyone, but like for a lot of us though, we're buying and we're holding each time, and they drop the price, I'll buy more. Drop the price even more, I'll buy even more. Like I've been buying for a year. So, yeah, I don't hear any music either. I got an alert on my phone saying the options were out of the money after hours. That's why I jumped on my computer to pick up more shares. That would have been the way to go. That would have been the way to go. Because you were able to buy the dip. Bill Murray's in the house. Is there any bots telling us to sell yet? How many FTDs? At its peak, I think it was like 2.4 million, and then the next day which was the last day reported. So they're always going to drop it down the next day because they want it to look like it's going down. So, because we won't be able to see another report until the 15th. And then at that point, we get to see kind of what happened in this area. And they'll be able to reset some FTDs. But, like, this is going to keep going. As the stock price is chopping around, as retail, this interest grows, you're going to see more and more people doing it, like buying and holding, and the FTDs will stay around until they can either move up high enough where they can get some retail to shake out and sell. Because that's their goal, right? You're not going to have a perfect lineup. Like there might have been some people who went green after holding for a year and they sold out in this area, and that's fine. Like there'll be new ones replacing them down the line. So people that bought in down here and will be instantly profitable when the stock moves to 7, 8, and they're not willing to sell for peanuts when they just got in and things seem to be lifting off. There are liquidity windows that you'll learn about if we keep talking about this stuff, and you'll learn that like you'll find that there were people that their cost basis were around this area, and for them they've held on for long enough and they're getting out. For other people though, like I'm in this long. Like I look at this like this is going to be a stock that's going to go up, and if I hold it for a long period of time, we're going to fluctuate, but it's going to go up from here. So I was told to tell people to like and subscribe. How are deep in the money calls profitable? I'm still learning options, so it's not so much profitable. It's so much that here I'll pull up the options chains real quick. So these, while yes profitable, as these come closer to expiry though, they'll start being basically just worth what they are, because your theta decay starts happening really aggressively into the end of the week. But what ends up happening is these ones here have to be hedged by the market makers. So if somebody bought a $2 call, right? So somebody says, okay, I want to buy this $2 call. They're going to pay this, $2.90 per contract, and they're going to give them the ability to buy these shares at $2 a share. So while that's a little bit more expensive than just buying the stock outright, this is causing the market maker to actually buy shares on the market to make sure they have enough for this guy or girl that's buying down here at $2. So they've got to make sure that if this person decides, yeah, I want all these shares, they're going to go ahead and lock them up, and then they're going to have to buy some shares to make sure they have these hedged. So what's ending up happening is, like, say, for example, we are sitting here at 450, right, tomorrow. That means that all these shares by the end of tomorrow should have been at least hedged or mostly hedged. They may do the rest of them on Monday or Tuesday of next week, but what you're going to see is the majority of them being hedged before the market closes on Friday. So, and that goes on this side too. Like, if they get an influx of things that pushes down the price, and then all of a sudden these are now in the money, they have to start hedging these. So they actually have to sell a bunch of shares onto the market, which would cause downward pressure, and they would have to hedge these puts that could be in the money too. So it goes both ways. But they seem to be only hedging really the put side, and then they're holding off as long as they can to actually hedge the call side. That's just the impression I've gotten. The market got nailed to a cross today. Yeah, it did. It really did. All right. So somebody was saying ours tanked at the same time BBIG moved, and then BBIG dumped, and money came into ATER. I think I got paid big money to pay ATER shorts to cover, or BBIG shorts to cover. That's what I heard. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see a correlation directly, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be people that jump from both, or one to the other. Everyone has their, we have low volume. The volume's going somewhere. So, like, for some people, they might have two positions. One's in Aterian, one's in BBIG. If that's the hot hand, that's what they'll be playing tomorrow. But, it is what it is. Like, the volume, we have earnings coming up in 2 days, or 2 market days. So we're going to get enough information that institutions will be interested one way or the other, and so will retail. So psychological warfare. Yep, that is what this all is. Do you think earnings is going to play out? Or how do I think earnings is going to play out? I think it's going to not really matter. They're going to attack the stock anyway. But the other side of it is, if it's not as bad as everyone's anticipating, then what you could see is institutions starting to buy back in. If they go, oh, well, this is actually better than we thought, maybe we'll increase our position a couple million shares, that's going to create a problem for the shorts, because those guys actually hit the lit exchange. So, I use Robinhood. I want to know, is it better to buy shares or deepen the money calls and exercise? It's up to you. I was going to say, that's all personal preference. I have commons that I buy, and I also have calls that I buy, and then we'll make them give me shares. So it's all personal preference. I can't give you financial advice. If you wanted to make the market maker hedge, deepen the money calls are great for that, but it is slightly more expensive to do that. So that's going to be all a choice of your own. thoughts on the DTC and the haircuts impacting these market makers and hedges. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm cautiously optimistic, but once again, I've seen them weasel out of way worse. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, if their collateral's going, if they're if it's true what happened with the Chinese, their Chinese collateral, and that's all going away, then we're going to see some interesting fireworks in the next couple weeks, both in the SPY and also in some of these meme stocks. Wake me when September ends. Good Green Day song. All right. Will this just pop on a random day, or would be more likely to be a Monday or Friday? I mean, it can happen any day. That's what I can say. What does DRSing means? It means direct registering of shares. Basically, it's when you put the share in your own name instead of when you buy your shares through your brokerage, you are actually not owner of those shares. They gave you an IOU, or they gave you basically the cash equivalent that's sitting there in your account, but they actually own those shares. When you DRS your shares, you are literally putting them into your own name, and then the DTCC cannot touch your shares. So your shares can't be lent out, they can't be shorted, they can't be any of the stuff that's able to happen with a brokerage. None of that happens. They sit there in your name in this direct holding, basically. Your mic sounds good. Oh, thanks. But yeah, I've had to turn up the volume tremendously to make it so it's not super, super quiet. I'm also having to put my mouth right up to the mic. Yeah, and I think if I get a better mic, then that might be something. But I'm just drinking some water. I'm wondering what you think about the 520 calls. I have some of them. Are you rolling or waiting? So I'm going to be honest. I may do half and half, but at this point, I'm waiting. I need to see what happens. I'd like to do it on an Ivy spike, obviously, and I think we have an opportunity to see some real, wild action with earnings coming up, and then if we do have some institutional buying that starts happening again, I'm anticipating I'm going to at least see a spike. And I would probably be looking at rolling them into possibly right after June, I think, is when I saw some of these that's when the executive order thing goes. So I would be looking at sometime after that. But at this point right now, I'm going to hold and just see what happens with them first. So you mentioned that you could move the stock in after hours with 20K low volume. I'm wondering someone not me did that tomorrow to create FOMO. Yeah, I mean, you're going to run into some sell walls. So, I mean, the volume was really, really low today, and it was really low, even lower in the after hours. So I think I told you guys, my theory right now, just thinking out loud, was that basically someone had a good to close stop loss, and they probably were trying to find it and hit it, and that's what they did. And that's why it spiked all the way down there. Was basically they could have basically been stop loss hunting for a good to close and nailed somebody that had a pretty large position out of theirs. So best app to track live in and outflows. I mean, I streamed the level 2s during the day from Webull. You can pay $1 or $2 extra. Yeah, it will show you a pretty decent, that's where the buy and the sell side, and you can see the walls happening. If you want to see options flow, there are scanners like Unusual Whale that puts out pretty decent option flow. And I haven't researched a whole lot. I've got to buy some better tools. There's some money coming in now from the Patreon, so I'm going to try to upgrade some of my tools so I can do Don't you think they watch this and just do the opposite of what I'm preaching? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that there are interns for the hedge fund, or even maybe some shorts themselves, watching this and going, "This kid's in," they don't like who I am. I can tell you that now. And I'm sure they're going to probably try to take anything I say and because one of the things you do with like psychological warfare is one of the first things you can do is try to demoralize the other side by, I think they call it there's a specific term for it, but it's basically like you discredit your leaders. You basically make your guys, if you're like going against somebody, like say you're starting a war, right? In this war, you discredit the other side's generals, and you make the troops like basically like think that their leaders are incompetent, and that's part of psychological warfare. Like, and it gets in people's heads because then they go, "Is this guy is he wrong? Am I following the wrong person? Am I willing to die for?" Like, that's the kind of stuff they do in war. Like, if you can discredit, so like if people are like, "Oh, well, Anon told us this thing's going to go to the moon and it only went to $7, and that's where the bots told everyone to sell, right?" Remember, the bots came in, they said, "Oh, it's not going to go any higher than 7," and then it went down, and it's been down since then. So people go, "Well, they told us, the bots told us that the thing wouldn't go higher," and then they're going to come back at some point when things get hairy for them again, and they're going to say, "Yeah, you guys listened to the wrong people. Remember, I went to college. I'm very smart. My grandson told me that this thing would go no higher than 7." Like, yeah. So, I don't know. Let's see. There's all sorts of people. What time is it? I told my wife I wasn't going to be on here too long. It's 11 o'clock already. All right. So I'm going to have to go at some point, but I will at least look at a couple last things. I'll try to get through some of these comments because I know I'm really far behind. Hold on. Let me see. Hey, Anon. Good to have you back. Your cough seems better now. Yeah, I've been trying to take care of myself a little bit. I was coughing earlier, but I took some medicine and feel a little bit better. Yeah, so Carl brings up the point. Carl Vitellino? Sorry, Carl, if I'm butchering your last name, but yeah, the $2.50s and $2 are within like 3 cents of the ask, but the $3.50s and $4s are 50 cents over the ask price. So yeah. Chris said that he saw the cost to borrow at negative 0.27. I've never seen that before. Yeah, I didn't see when I looked, but it is. What does it mean? I think I explained the hedging part, didn't I? I think that hopefully that covered it when I did that already. I'm so far behind, so please talk about the inflow and outflow. Where is? Yeah, so like all that is it's just showing you right now there's money flowing in and out of the stock. And this is only for Webull, though. So this is not like a complete picture of everything that's going in and out of the stock. This is just for Webull, what they track. So you can't really go completely off inflow and outflow unless you actually had an entire picture, which nobody does. So if that's what people are looking at, this does not cover every single aspect of a stock. This is just covering what Webull holds, or Webull's tracking. Good analogy with a royal flush. It all comes down to if you know what you hold and you think it's valuable, You keep buying in. That's what Cuban told everyone. That's what Elon Musk told everyone. I owned Tesla when it was like, 60 a share. And at one point, I remember the stock was down like, I don't know, it was like 80% down. And like, I thought about selling, but I was like, you know what? I think that they're good long term. I obviously made a good choice there. I knew I knew in my gut that the stock was undervalued, and I bought more, and then Tesla ran up to like, stupid heights and still is. And, obviously it's down right now, but that was a good decision. Me not flinching when I knew that Tesla was more, they were going through some cash problems, and the stock has gotten really, really shorted down. So, bought more shares in lower fours. There you go, Rob. The higher, I was going to say, graduates with PhDs in math, game, chaos theory, finance, prestigious Ivy League schools, all to mess with you. Yeah. I mean, these guys employ the best of the best, and they're good at what they do. So, what's up, Rosa? Do the millions of short exempts negatively affect the market maker down the road? It's not just the market maker that's failing. It's mostly look at the brokers. So the brokers want you to sell. If you're buying Aterian, your broker wants you desperately to sell. They're like, please stop buying this stock, because they have to go and locate it. So it doesn't always have to do with the market makers. Yeah. Can someone link me the Discord? Yeah, we can do that for you. The Discord's free for anyone that's listening and that's new. We have a free Discord that we, everyone's in there, hangs out, a lot of free resources, stuff like that. I'll link it right now. I know that was a while ago, but all right, I gotta get through. There's been a bunch of people writing. Okay. Let's see. Something about, could you share the video you were referring to? Yeah, if you go inside the Discord, I think we posted it in market education, maybe under videos. Let me see if I can find it for you real quick. I think market lessons, or was it how the market really works? No. How to route through IEX. People are sharing good information in there. But was it under fundamentals, maybe? Let me just check. Where is videos? Maybe it was in here. Here we go. I found the link. You wanna learn something? Watch this guy, ex Goldman Sachs guy. He tells you basically your brokers are not on your side. Smart money's basically screwing you over. It is what it is. Not selling. Stops don't trigger in after hours. If you have a good till close, they can be stopped out, Chad. Like if you have basically a stop loss that is good till close. If like say for example you put in a stop loss for 460, good till close. If it hits that in after hours, it will trigger a stop loss. So yeah. as in business, retail traders, the tightest budget are the most demanding. Yeah. What would be your estimated squeeze time frame? I mean, we've got earnings coming up on the 9th. You've got the 20th is an option chain that's loaded. So, I mean, you're going to see it happen. Some things are going to happen in the next couple of days. So, earnings report comes out on Monday after the market close. So, it'll probably be around like 5 p.m. We might get the stuff early at like 4, and then the calls at 5 usually. I thought earnings wouldn't really matter. I mean, they matter in the sense that it's something to talk about. Like, right now, we don't have all the information in front of us. So we're looking for this information. So are the institutions. So are like the analysts that cover the stock. Like, everybody's looking for more information because we only get these small snapshots every 4 times a year, basically, with the addition of like some filings that they put in. So like, we don't get to see what's going on behind the curtains. So this is a good opportunity for us to see, for institutions to see what's going on. And, so earnings don't really matter because they're just going to get attacked no matter what happens. But they do matter in the sense that we do get to learn more about what's going on with the company. So aggravating. We were holding $5 so strong all week, then boom, now the fight's $4.50. Yeah, I mean, Gavin, so here's the problem. If people were buying $3.50, $2, calls, then yeah, the fight would have been at 5. But, at this point right now, people keep buying out of the money call options, and, it is what it is. Like, until retail stops, buying up, cheap out of the money options, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So, but yeah, I mean, that's not how I invest, but other people have different strategies, and if that's what they want to do, that's what they're going to do. The more they pull this down, the more they will find real buying. Yeah, I mean, there will be pockets, and there will be a point where people go, yeah, I can sell some other things and probably buy more. And that, they just make it worse. So, all right. So, what are your thoughts on the options chain? Still looking very bullish. I personally have no issue holding down. Yeah, I mean, you've been long GME since 2020. Well, that's even before. Yeah. So, yeah, I have no problem either. I was going to say the option chains look very bullish. I mean, so if something's going to set it off, it's going to happen pretty fast. So make sure people cancel their stop losses. Yeah, I mean, I'm not telling people what to do. Like, that would be financial advice. But Drake B says that, he thinks that people should cancel their stop losses. I'm not telling anyone to do that, but I don't carry stop losses on these. I watch the stock enough where I don't need to do that. So, yeah, my voice sounds good. Feeling a little bit better. Yeah, doing well. All right. I'll make him hold. Let's say, I'll hold more to make what most people make in the year. Yeah. Why has there been squeeze plays ripping in after hours? So a lot of times that's when you can easily move the price up or down. And so, for example, what was the one that most recently ran up? The Red Box, right? So they moved a lot of that was in pre-market because it's cheaper to do, number one. Get retail FOMO in, they hit the warrants, and then they tank the price down. And then they might even do it another time, too, just to get the rest of the warrants up there if they didn't get all of them. So yeah, like, you're going to see stuff like that happen, and then the float will increase, and you'll see. But that's why it's easier to move the price up and down in pre-market or after hours. So try being all right. Cabby was saying, is it Cabby? Cabi or Cabby, People are scared of ATER. It was dropping hard after hours. Try being locked out of your house with your dog because your garage door stopped working. Took 3 hours to get in. Perspective. Yeah. I was going to say, you probably weren't even worried about it, Aterian. I'm just worried that the after-hour price would drive down the price for tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, like, they got in your head. So, I mean, keep some money around if they drop it again. It is what it is. Hit the like, peeps. Anyone hold credence at the executive order? Yeah, I mean, like, there are multiple things that are going to happen this summer, and before then for Aterian, and like people are worried about the stuff in the September 6th warrants. Like September's a really long ways away, so there's plenty of things that can happen between now and then. Yeah, isn't ATER number one? Yeah, like, so listen, Redbox right now took over on Finto number one, and I'll be honest with you, it's just going to run up to the warrants, hit them, and then it will go back down again, and then they won't be one again. So there's just different factors that are going there, but Aterian is one of the most dangerous ones for them because it's a small float, and honestly, there's no warrants that can save them, which is why they're messing with it right now. Is earnings a catalyst? What am I missing? No, it's not really a catalyst. It's just we have more information that's going to come out then. So it's a potential catalyst if it's better than expected. It could also be hit down and pushed down. It's all going to be. But like I showed you guys, like if this is true, we have this crossover right here, right? This is earnings right here. So like, could they push the stock down and then we get into the liquidity zone and maybe something happen? The options chains for the 20th are right here. So, like, could you see, like, a sag and then pop and then move up into this range right here? Yeah, I mean, that's very possible, too. So there's lots of possibilities at this point, but, I'm not worried. It's just, at this point, anything could be a catalyst. Like they could announce something after earnings and address shorting, and they can do all sorts of things. I don't think they're going to do that just because I think they have to keep their mouth shut because their lawyers are probably telling them you can't say anything about this anymore. Like, all right, so Max Payne's at 450. That is correct. Yeah, like honestly. Guys should email our investor relations and tell them if they dilute retail investors will be out. I mean, I've written them and said, listen, majority of your shareholders are retail investors who have been burned before with dilution. They didn't want to dilute last time. They were forced to back in the last squeeze. They violated a debt covenant with High Trail, and High Trail doesn't hold on to their shares, so they unloaded them on the market as soon as they got them. And they were, when I talked to them, they said that was something they really didn't want to do, but they had to do because once they violated that, trailing EBITDA, they had to turn over the shares. So. But in this case, right now, they've already done the private placement, and they did get some cash out of it. Like they're going to want cash at some point, but at this point right now, I think they don't like the shorts either. I think the CEO and most of their executives have a lot of shares tied up in this, and they really don't want these shares being devalued and pushed down into like scary levels, which would choke the company. So they also have a thing that they understand that these shorts are really bad for business because before they were around, they were able to raise cash pretty easily because their business model. Once these shorts came in, they've been driving down the price of the stock, and so what ends up happening is they don't get to, when they need to get cash, they're having to settle for way less than they are. So these shorts are bad for business in general. And so what will end up happening is I don't think they're dumb enough to burn or bite the hand that feeds. Like they understand that retail traders make up the majority of these things, and so what they'll do is they'll wait till the stock price is much higher before they issue any sort of ATM, because they have the ability to. And pretty much every stock has the ability to. It's just a matter of it doesn't make sense. Like down here at these levels, no, it doesn't make sense. Like they wouldn't issue an ATM when they have warrants at 15 and 25. It's just that would not make sense at all. Let's go Gators. What is an increasing cost to borrow effect? Shorts they borrowed earlier. It's just if they need more shorts, they're gonna have to like pay more for them, and so over time, if they keep having to borrow them, they're getting more and more expensive. But a lot of them probably took out the majority of their stuff early, knowing that was going to be the cost of borrow was going to go up. So that's why there are so many shares out on loan right now, but not all of them are actually been shorted. So. Can you explain why there's tons of 750s and 10s? Are they just gambling or people know something? I mean, people are just... So here's the thing. Those large placement of orders could be a hedge fund or a market maker backstopping their shorts, or in the market maker's case, in case the stock runs, they have an ability to cover at a set price. All right, I'm going to be heading out in a second. So I'm trying to get through the rest of these. Gator for life. If you're an AMC, you should probably rethink that. TD does not apply to AMC. AMC is garbage, and there's speculations that... Yeah, so, Joe, I'm trying to be nice. I know some people have bought into AMC. I'm not trying to be rude. But, yeah, if you look at their balance sheets, GameStop has very little debt. AMC still has a ton of debt. When I was doing my research, I don't own a ton of games at AMC. I own some. And that's, I think basically it broke down into two things. Like AMC is kind of like brute force. Like there's more people because the stock price was lower. GameStop eliminated their debt. They raised a whole bunch of money, and now they're trying to figure out like what their new place is in the world. AMC at this point still has a ton of debt, which needs to be addressed. But the thing is, they seem to be getting a huge following, which basically, if I was Adam Aaron, I'd be kissing the ass of every ape because Ape saved his job. Because they were not going to have a company to have anymore, and literally retail saved that company. And I don't think they should have taken bonuses personally. I don't like how that went down. I think if you ran your company into the ground, you don't deserve bonuses. And I know some people really like him, but as a leader, I think that those guys should have been working their asses off and not taking bonuses. And if your company's not, if your company's still bleeding out, you need to take a hard look at your compensation and what you really are worth, if that's, what happened. But anyway, yeah, I do like GameStop. I do like Aterian. I do have some AMC, though. But, yeah, it's not a huge position for me. I don't have, 40% of my portfolio or anything like that. Did you look at my PM in Discord? I have not. I got about 6 different things in there, so all right. Just let me know who you are in Discord in the PM. Izzy, because I was going to say I don't. Some people's names are different on the Discord than they are on YouTube. So, do you fundamentally believe in this company? Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, I think they're undervalued. I think when they got, especially when they got pushed down here, this was ridiculous. Like when you start going below current asset values, which was 245 at the time, that's when I was like, something's wrong here. This is off. A company that's liquidating would be down at these levels. They weren't liquidating. So, yeah, shorts got greedy, and then they got caught, and then they got pushed up. And now we're in this, kind of limbo stage where we're going to be chopping around, and then we're either going to spike hard, we're going to dip into this liquidity zone, then we're going to spike hard. At some point, it's moving up. It's going to happen. the FTDs are piling up. Like, lots of things were happening. So yeah, but I do fundamentally believe in this company. I do think that once the shipping crisis kind of like dies down, they would have been profitable last year if the shipping crisis didn't happen. But it did. So, like, what did I miss in the last 2 days with ATER? Nothing. I got slammed with work. Yeah, me too. Let's go. If you got an ATER mask, would you wear it on your live stream? No. I don't want to wear a mask for 2 hours talking to you guys. I think that would sound ridiculous also. The executive order was June 3rd. Thanks. You mentioned in the previous stream that CSP are good. I don't know. You mentioned in the stream that CSP are good. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting tired. I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm not reading that right. I like search or shift search for options flow, not live. Okay. Watch your 6. Drake. So you're selling your house and putting all the proceeds into Aterian. Well, yeah, it's at this point right now, James, my house is not sold yet. And it sounds like we're not settling tomorrow like what we are anticipating. So I will be having a nice chunk of cash coming in, but at this point right now, I do not have it yet. So I'll let you guys know when I do settle and actually get the money in my account. All right, so we had an FTD on April 6th. It takes T plus 35, which is May 10th. Is that a coincidence that ATER earnings are on the 9th, like the CEO planned it that way? I mean, that would be very interesting. Yep. I think people based on Reg show, but it takes 5 consecutive FTDs to go on Reg show. That's correct. And so the date starts 5 days earlier. Yeah, so like we went on Reg show around here, which means that this would have been, I think, like day 13 or 14, I think. Maybe more, maybe it's 15. But yeah, I'll have to go back and do some research and just do that. Amazon's earnings sucked. Are you worried about that? No, I'm not. Like, honestly, not even the slightest, because like no matter what's going to happen, they're going to attack the stock. Like, I've been in there when they beat earnings and they still attack the stock, so it doesn't matter. Just be prepared for it. I use a good to close, but not for stop losses. Buy spots, never buys for me though. Stop losses on stocks like ATER and GME are a horrible idea, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree, Joe. When will you start selling that Anon t-shirt saying "It is what it is"? That, and well, we'll see. If you guys want, maybe I'll figure out how to make those. I don't even know. It is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, we got the porn bots back again. Okay. Adult dating. Just call a girl instead. All right. What do you think about selling puts near max pain to disincentive the market maker from selling off shares in the middle of the week? I mean, that's I've talked about that before. I mean, obviously, I can't tell people what to do with their money. I am not qualified to do so, but just throwing it out there, it is an interesting idea that basically the market maker would have to choose whether they want to start hedging those puts or they don't want to mess with it. So the bots are back, but yeah, these are porn bots. So let's see. What's your opinion on the volume distribution of options? It slowed down. I mean, it slowed down, but at the same time, it's we have earnings coming up. There's going to be a whole bunch of things that happen. So Joe says, I agree. I dislike Adam Anon. I think he's got some people fooled. I bought AMC. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail, but basically, AMC was going to squeeze hard, and he issued an ATM into it. And I understand that it's his job to try to raise money for the company, but he could have let it go a lot higher than what he did. He basically did it before it ran, and everything was indicating that it was going to run. And he basically, I don't know if he's got buddies on Wall Street that were like, please don't do this. And he sold an ATM into it before it ran. So, all right. I'm going to get my AMCs too. I'm just waiting for a random increases. Yeah. All right. Can you make T-shirts? T-shirts. 80K. Yeah, Keith's got 80K shares in Holden. All right. Is there any Aterian YouTubers that I'd recommend? I mean, here's the thing, and this is, if you guys type in YouTube and you see what people are talking about, a lot of them are day trading or they're swing trading stocks. And so what you'll find with them is they're going to always, tell you, like, these are the same guys that told you Aterian was dead months ago, and then all of a sudden when Aterian came back and was being popular again, they're all over, like, telling you how to trade it. Like, here's the thing, guys. Like, you ever watch any of them live trade? Not many of them do. You know why? Because it's a lot easier going on to YouTube after the day's done and going, yeah, so you can see, my research was going to show you that this is where you enter and this is where you exit and this is, like, that's what these guys tell you. Well, you're not watching them live trade. Like, most of them are not showing you how they're trading. And so it's really easy to be they always say hindsight's 20/20. Well, yeah, when the day's over and they're doing an upload for the day and they're telling you, they'll tell you whatever they want. Yeah, I played this perfectly. I bought in here. I sold right here. And, all these other people are idiots. Did you really, though? I didn't see anybody trading. I can come out and do the same thing. I can come out at the end of the day and be like, yeah, so obviously what you saw was this range was going to happen and this is going to, like, yeah, because the day's already done and trading's already happened. So, like, it's really easy to, sit there and pretend like you're an expert, and half the time you don't even know how, like, there are YouTubers out there that honestly can't even read a balance sheet, and yet they're sitting there telling people how to trade these stocks. Not financial advice, though. So, like, no offense, but, like, I don't trust people that, I don't know their background. I don't see them live trading. For me, I write the DD and I put it out there for people to review. And so far, I haven't seen a whole lot of people that actually are able to disprove what I've been saying. So, I mean, yeah, apparently he's got Thornton McHenry or something like that. Okay, yeah. So yeah, he's recommending some guy named like Thornton McHenry with Market Watch. Yeah. I mean, if you want to go watch him, I haven't watched him yet, but I was going to say, I just be careful when you're watching YouTubers, and hindsight's always really easy to, like, hindsight's always 20/20. I respect people that at least put out their thesis ahead of time, and, if the stock doesn't do it, but, like, I hear these guys, like, somebody was like, yeah, so I knew that the market was going to go down. I didn't actually, like, say anything about it, but I knew, like, wait, what? So you knew the market was going to go down, but you didn't tell people about it. You just held it to yourself. And then when the market did go down, you went, yeah, so I didn't tell anyone, but I knew it was going to go down. Oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah, like, listen, like, there are gaps to fill in this SPY. Like the market overall is going to go. We're in a downtrend now. We are going to see the market bleed, and it won't go straight down. It will go up and down in waves, but overall, it's going to go down. There's going to be like gaps that need to get filled on this S&P, and we're going to probably enter a recession at some point because they pumped a ton of money into this, and now this money's getting we have quantitative tightening, and all this easing is going to stop, and then they're going to have to start dealing with the fact that like these guys ran wild on the SPY and they pumped money into the stocks. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and somebody said, thanks, Tom. Yeah, I've noticed that most stock YouTubers are trading. They're just bullshitting. Yeah, I mean, honestly, they're making more money probably YouTubing than they are like, and I don't have the followers that they do, and that's fine. Like, but like what I've noticed is they're probably making more money on YouTube than they are actually like trading stocks, and that's fine. Like, I'm not hating on anybody, but it is what it is. Like, I don't have a huge following. I don't like, and that's fine. Like, I'm not like. You guys can't see my face. I think my format's boring as shit, to be honest with you. I don't know why you guys listen to me. I wouldn't listen to me, but like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not entertaining unless you are fine just looking at a blank screen forever and just listening to some guy talk. Basically, like you guys are the type of people that we find listen to a podcast. And I appreciate that. But like, if I was watching YouTube and I saw like a blank screen and just somebody talking, like I wouldn't watch this. So, but yeah, so I appreciate you guys sticking around. I always finish these out. But yeah, I was going to say, I got a bunch of messages I got to go through, a bunch of people that are writing. But yeah, if you want to go check out some other YouTubers, if that Thornton McHenry guy that, Izzy thinks is good, check him out. I mean, if anyone finds somebody that's good, then I'm willing to watch things too. I never stop trying to learn. I'm always constantly trying to learn. And I think that's a super important thing that most people should be doing, which is you should continue your education. And if you're learning things from this, then great. Watching a dude from Market Watch, bro, that sounds like a terrible idea. Never trust the institutions. I'm not going to screw with you. I'm just going with Izzy thinks he's good. There you go. I put it out there. But yeah, personally, anybody, if he's just covering basic information, though, that could be actually okay. Like he did a segment. I'm looking at this, the thing it says that DRSing, like he explains what DRSing is. And then he kind of like covers, it looks like some GameStops and like meme markets. So we'll see. Is he saying he's not from Market Watch directly? So I don't know, but anyway, yeah, just keep your eye out. Thanks, Ace. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and then I'll finish it by just linking the Discord one more time. So if anyone's stuck around for this long, if you aren't part of the Discord, it's free. There you go. Yeah, and you're right, Goat. I do need to probably cover more than just one stock. At this point right now, a bunch of people from the Discord asked me to start going on YouTube just to kind of get, a different opinion than somebody that's day trading Aterian. And, I'm trying to explain why things are happening, not so much, like how to trade the stock. I'm explaining the market fundamentals behind why the stock did this. Because this is not a normal movement on a stock that was trading 1 million in volume, and then all of a sudden it's traded 1 billion shares since this mark right here on March 8th. So there's that, and then I guess the Patreon. Somewhere it's around. Here we go. Sorry, bear with me. Yeah, so we lost a couple of Patreon people, but I appreciate those of you that have contributed to the Patreon, and hopefully we'll be able to make me a full-time streamer someday. That's my hope. So that way I can hang out with you guys, trade stocks, and do some research for you guys on the fly. And then I'll be able to cover more things than just, one stock. And all right, so there we go. There's the Patreon. But I appreciate, sit in the window of our office for 12 hours. This is exciting as hell. Thanks, guys. All right. You guys are funny. All right. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. And we like to watch because you're DTE and very good at examining the big picture. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I have a handsome voice, apparently, according to Yes. So, all right. Good to hear from Anon. All right. Good talking to you guys. All right. You guys have an awesome night, and I will see you tomorrow pre-market. I should be around a little bit more because I should not have to train somebody at work. So I was doing that the last couple mornings, so I wasn't able to be there pre-market. All right, cool. You guys have a great evening. Get some sleep, and I'll see you tomorrow. And for the record, yes, I don't know who's spreading that around in the Discord, but I did not sell anything. So, and DC is just on vacation right now, so I don't know what you guys, whoever was spreading that was probably, was short. So, all right, have a great evening.